If the Seahawks lose this game against the Niners, they are frauds. Shot, sip, or piss.
I would just say Sam Darnold would probably be the guy. I think Sam Darnold's the reason why they would lose. Because I don't think this defense is a fraud. I don't think Jackson Smith and Jigba is a fraud. I don't think this offensive line or coaching staff's a fraud. I don't think their running back tandem's a fraud.
This is going to sound like so much hate, and I swear it's not.
Again, in the nationally world-renowned shot, sip, or piss, Brandon had the first matchup. Brandon's not here, so I will take over for Brandon. It is Bills at Broncos. They're the early game on Saturday. My question to the group, you're going to take a shot, you're going to take a sip, or you're going to piss. This is the Broncos game to lose.
I'll sip it. Reason being is I did allude a little bit to some of the Bills injuries coming in. They have a lot of skill position player injuries, particularly the wide receiver. They don't have too many people catch the ball right now. You're at home. You have one of the best home field advantages in the league. You've got a really good coach. You've got a really good defense. You've got good skill position players. I know there's no J.K. Dobbins, but you have a good running attack as well. Bo Nix, good quarterback. Is he great? No. Is he bad? No. He's played well late game. Sometimes you look at him, you're like, oh, gosh. And then sometimes you're like, okay, no, that's the quarterback. The only reason why this team, the Buffalo Bills, our people are picking him to win, is Josh Allen and Josh Allen alone. You take out the quarterbacks on both these rosters, there's no reason why you would take the Bills over the Broncos. No reason at all. That's why the quarterback is such a big position. I'm not saying that people are stupid for taking the Bills. But you're saying it's Broncos game to lose? They are better everywhere but quarterback. And running back, because James Cook's really good.
And experience. Postseason experience.
And experience matter. I just meant player for player.
Sure.
I just literally meaning talent, sure. And if you want to say the offensive line of the Bills is a little whatever, but Broncos still have a good offensive line. So, just the Broncos are a better team 2 through 52 than the Buffalo Bills, which is why I'll sip to it. But I can't take a shot because the one is Josh Allen.
I would also take a sip for all the reasons Keenan outlined, and then a couple more being you opened as an underdog. I feel like a lot of people are viewing them as an underdog here as the 1 seed. And then didn't these two teams play in wildcard weekend last year and the Bills throttled them?
Yes, they did. Yeah, so they played in Buffalo.
Here's a revenge game. You got it at home. You're at an advantage at most positions except for one. This really should be your game to win. You should be playing for everything right now. But it's Josh Allen, man, and he's done it with no supporting cast, it feels like. I just feel like something's going to go wrong, and probably will. I feel like we're going to pick it to go wrong for Denver, so.
Yeah, Brandon Cooks continually stepping up for them, which is crazy. The veteran who just seems to jump around teams, but never seems to lose his speed. It's very interesting. One of the reasons why I presented this is for the reasons Keenan outlined. Broncos all around are just a really solid team, above average team, obviously, and they got a great head coach in Sean Payton. And Bo Nix, at the very, very least, is a good game manager. And we've seen him be more than a game manager. But my biggest thing, I'd mentioned last week, I said, hey, we should almost look at this wild card round as week 19 rather than wild card round. Because we've seen chaos all year. Why wouldn't we get more chaos in the playoffs, right? And I don't know about you guys, but to me, really, that Bills-Jags game, to me, and maybe the Eagles-Niners, that's the only one that really felt like it had an elevated atmosphere. Everything else...
Packers-Bears to me did.
Did it? You think so? Yeah, maybe.
Just so that Bears crowd was just on.
It was ruckus.
100.
It was
especially late in that game. So I would say Bears-Packers did too. But the other games I would, for me, I had a Patriots game. That felt like a playoff game to me just because I was nervous. But I get it. Yeah.
I say that to say, if we're looking at this as week 20, or if we were even looking at this in the regular season as if the Broncos were coming off a bye, they've got a home game against the Bills. Bills just had a tough game against the Jags, right? Broncos are probably favored, and we're probably, honestly, I know I would at least be looking at the Broncos to win that game. I think that would be a tough thing to ask of the Bills to win that game because Denver's also a tough place to play. So I'm kind of viewing that in that realm. I'm viewing this game in that realm. Like, you got a ton of rest. Josh Allen's clearly not 100%. Better all-around team. It's kind of your game to lose. And your coach, unlike any coach I've ever seen in my life, Keenan, I know we mentioned this one other time. Like, I've never seen a coach all offseason who's like, watch out for us next year. We're going to be about it next year. We're going to win the division next year.
He continues to talk, too.
Like, he's been talking this team up like a Super Bowl team, and we all agree the Bills are obviously worthy competitors.
But team I've ever coached.
That's what he said. That's what he said. Next game, Seahawks Niners. Who's got that? Is it Seahawks Niners? Is that the second one? Because I think that's me, actually.
Yes, that's the next
game. I didn't write it in that order.
The next game.
Oh, well, it's me. If the Seahawks lose this game, which, by the way, I would sip my past statement if I got to answer my own. I'm sipping that as well. If the Seahawks lose this game against the Niners, they are frauds. Shot, sip, or piss. Tim, go ahead.
Sit.
Keenan. All right. I was going to flip it up, but go ahead,
you can
Keenan.
go.
No, go ahead, Keenan.
Sorry. Sip, because I would just say Sam Darnold would probably be the guy. I think Sam Darnold was the reason why they would lose. Because I don't think this defense is a fraud. I don't think Jackson Smith and Jigba is a fraud. I don't think this offensive line or coaching staff's a fraud. I don't think their running back tandem's a fraud. So I would say SIP because the quarterback is the most important position, as we just talked about with Josh Allen. And I wouldn't say the Seahawks team is. I would just say Sam Darnold specifically is. So you can't say no, pass, but I can't say a shot because I don't think it's the whole Seahawks decision. So SIP.
I'll take a shot. Because I think if you had said if Denver loses, they're frauds, I would be completely on board. And in my opinion, it kind of comes down to the same thing. Like, it's just the quarterback position in Denver that worries me. I think they have solid wide receivers, obviously not as good as JSN, but still decent. They have a great offensive line, and they have a good run game. I think of those positions, I would obviously lead Seattle overall, but if they don't lose, especially against a beat up 49ers team, they got to limit 2 people this weekend, CMC and Juwan Jennings. If they can't do that and they lose, then yeah, I'd say that they're frauds, honestly. So
a team that you just with Kittle,
you
held
dominated.
3.
Yeah.
You went 13-3.
Yeah. So if you they should be able to win this game by punting on first down. They should be able to win this game. Their defense is that good. So if they lose, then yeah, I'm on board with saying that they're fraudulent a little bit.
I'll take a sip. For me, it would depend on how they lose, right? If the Niners win by 10, then yeah, we gotta throw out the fraud name for the Seahawks. Absolutely. If it were a 3-point game, Niners win on the last second field goal, then yeah, the Seahawks probably are not frauds. We also got to take into account, I guess, the fact that this is a third divisional team matchup between the Niners and Seahawks. So I guess you give the Niners a little bit of an advantage there. Unless you think the Seahawks are overwhelmingly talented versus the Niners, then maybe that's more of an advantage for the Seahawks. All depends on how you look at it, but I would say it depends on how the game shakes out. So I'll take a sip of my own statement there. Who's got next? Who's got the Patriots and Texans?
It's Tim. Tim, your mic's muted.
You're totally right. I clicked something. It wasn't the mute button, I guess.
It was the abort button.
I'm gonna dial this down to one player. Well, I guess it's a lot of players, but one player. Drake Maye goes scorched earth, throws for 303 touchdowns this weekend.
I forgot if you you want me or you, Kyle. Sip, because I think 3 touchdowns is more likely than 300 yards. So I think that the Patriots could put up 24 points or even 27 points. Like, I think it, like, could they? Yes. Could this game also be 17-13? Sure. But if they do, I could see Drake Maye throwing 3 touchdowns. I think it'd be very different of 300 yards to me. I think they're gonna, because that means they're probably getting over 400 yards on this Texans team, and that's tough. But I do think they could get 280 yards to 300 as a team, running and passing. You get a big play touchdown. You get a nice one, like 15-yarder, and then you get like a 1-yard pass or something along those lines where you kind of just bounce between, because the Patriots like to run and then set up a play action off of that. The Texans try to take that away from Drake Maye, and he becomes just a solid throw. So I sip.
My reaction to this is to go to the bathroom and take a piss. It's my gut reaction to this. Thing is, we saw in week 18, which you can take with a grain of salt, we saw Riley Leonard and the Colts put up points on this Texans team, put up yards on this Texans team. I don't. Thing is, I think Vrabel's game plan in general and what he would tell McDaniels is maybe to play it safe, especially in the first half. So I think this is going to look more in line with what the Steelers and Texans first half looked like, and really what the entire Chargers Patriots game looked like. The key here is, as Keenan mentioned before, is Nico Collins. If the Texans really can get nothing going on offense, you almost have free reign to do what you want on offense if you're the Patriots. Thing is, the Texans defense is just still fucking dangerous. Might be the best defense in the playoffs. I'm gonna piss. I'm gonna keep it with a piss, even though it's worthy of a sip. But if you're asking me if I think that's actually gonna happen this weekend, I would say no. So I'm gonna take a piss on that.
I'll take a sip on this because there's 2 reasons really. I don't think they're going to be able to get the run game going as well as they have all year long. The Texas defense is good, and I definitely think that they could limit them to under 100, under 75 wouldn't be like out of possibilities. So they're going to try to put this all on Drake Maye. Then the other reason is just this is an MVP candidate. You know, if he does this, then I'll fully buy into them and say, like, yeah, maybe they are going to the Super Bowl. If they just barely squeak out a win, I'm not going to feel super confident in them beating whatever team they play next. So I think he can do it. And the way it happens is just the Texans continuously turn over on downs or go 3 and out, and they just have so many opportunities where Drake may get to throw the ball 40 times in this game. And I think he is good enough to dink and dunk his way there with 1 or 2 deep shots that connect for big 30-yard plays to get him there. So I'll take a sip. Definitely not on board with, like you said, the 3 touchdowns. I think it's more likely he goes just over 200 yards, a touchdown, maybe 2, and they win this game by 3 or 4 points. So.
And then last game, you got me and Rams Bears. My question: Caleb Williams will play better than Matt Stafford. Shots of purpose.
Will play better. You can win without playing better. So you're saying even at a loss, he outplays Matt Stafford?
Yeah, no, I'm speaking specifically on Caleb Williams plays better than Matthew Stafford.
It's worth at least a sip.
Just those 2.
Worth at least a sip.
Okay.
Because I do think there's a chance that, again, they could win the game and Matt Stafford outplays Caleb, and I feel like there's a way that the Rams could win the game and Caleb Williams outplays Matt Stafford. So if we're saying just like stat line or, just even how we feel coming out of that game, maybe Stafford throws 3 picks and the Rams still squeak out a victory. Yeah, that's definitely possible. So I'll take a sip of that. I won't take a full shot, but I'll take a sip.
Yeah, I'll take a sip. I'm leaning closer towards piss than I am shot, though. I'm like 80% confident that Stafford is going to play better, which is weird because you could argue that Bryce Young kind of outplayed him for most of that game. Up until the game-winning drive, I think that's when Stafford really was like, all right, let's get this shit done. Like, we are the better team. I think if you're asking me, like, what team is more likely to go off because their quarterback is just going crazy, it's the Rams. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if the Rams, like, blew the Bears out, like, quite bad on the back of Stafford going for 304 touchdowns. If that happened the other way around and the Rams just aren't competitive and Caleb's just playing really, really well, I'd be really surprised. So I'm definitely leaning closer to piss.
Yeah, I'm more like a watch my drink. Like, I'm leaning towards that way rather than, like, don't throw it away, just watch it. Because realistically, the Rams defense has talent and has the ability to stop Caleb. I don't know if the Bears have the ability to just stop Stafford, but they can turn you over. So, like, you could have a Stafford game where it's 325, 3 touchdowns and a pick. So, like, you could, like, where he still plays really well, but does have the turnover. And then Caleb, if he plays mistake-free football, could, like, so you could have a situation like that. So I'm not throwing the drink away. Just watch my drink as I head over and try to find the bathroom. I'm not even sure if I have found it yet, but I'm finding it.
I'll say this about the Bears, man.
Right, but that's...
I said this in the group chat. Like, I said that was the most 2025 Bears win that I've ever seen, what they did to the Packers, because it was exactly like their regular season wins. I don't know. I know the Bears are good now, but I still don't know exactly how good the Bears are because they continue to win in weird fashions. They can't just play a normal football game. They're, in fact, incapable of playing a normal football game. So, yeah, I still think they're a huge wild card, even as we're sitting here with them with a divisional round home game against the Rams. I still don't know what to expect from this team, which is saying a lot about them.
You don't know what to expect. All I expect is that this game will be close. And that means they're live, and that means they're good enough. So, like, that's all I can expect. It's just, and even if the Rams, do I think that the Rams are gonna blow a 21-3 lead? I don't. But I mean, we've seen the Bears come back on many teams, and then at this point, for this season specifically, you cannot doubt this team is at least good. It might not be great, and this might not be sustainable long term, like this way of winning, obviously. But for this year, you can't doubt that they're good. You can't be a Final 8 team and not be at least decent.
The question is how good. I know they're good. It's how good is this team? That's the one that stumps me.
How good is this team? I think they're good enough to play a close game with the Rams. So take that as you will. So they're good enough to play a close game with a team that's Super Bowl champion. And obviously, if they manage to pull this game out, they're good enough to be a game away from a Super Bowl. So, like, this is the team. It's hard to buy in to how they're winning. That's all it really is. It's just like, it's really difficult to buy into how they're winning. I have a very quick question, and I have nothing else.
Me too. You go first.
Oh, I was just gonna say, what team right now do you think should be the favorites to win the Super Bowl?
Buffalo. I think in the AFC, that's my favorite by far. I think the Patriots are pretty close behind them, but I think Buffalo is that veteran team that, like, everybody said this should be the year that they win it. Whereas in the NFC, like, I could see all three of those NFC West teams beating each other. Like, I could picture 100 different outcomes. So I'm not confident in putting any money on any of those teams to get to the Super Bowl, just because they eventually got to play each other and get there. So, whereas I think the path is easier for the Buffalo Bills.
I would say, given what you want from a Super Bowl team, which is talent, quarterback, and coach, and a defense that can get stops, by that measure, it should be the Rams. You had to ask me. But if I was doing odds, man, I would almost give damn near every team here, maybe minus the Texans without Nico and the Niners being banged up. I'd almost give everybody the same amount of odds. Not literally even odds, but everyone across the board should have like, plus 500 or something like that. And maybe give the Niners and the Texans plus 750 because I truly think any team can win at this point. And we've seen as much, not only through the first 18 weeks, but last week too. We only got one real stinker of a game with Texans and Steelers. And I thought, to Mike Tomlin's credit, I don't know who else gets that team to the playoffs other than Tomlin this year. That was just an ugly team. So, yeah, I think any team can win it. If I had to pick one to be favored, it'd probably be the Rams. You could even talk me into the Patriots. Patriots are pretty damn steady. They're pretty healthy going into this game, especially if they have Gonzo back. I think the Pats are a pretty safe bet going against a Nico-less Texans. And then who knows who they get in the championship game if they were to win. So I wouldn't be mad at the Pats, but I think, literally speaking, probably the Rams.
For me, it's the Seahawks, and then I would have like a 3-way tie between the Bills, Rams, and Patriots. I think it's tough with the Patriots. You have a chance to have the whole road at home. Obviously, Josh Allen would be going there if that was the case, but Josh Allen, you have the fact of the Bills having the confidence and they've actually been in these playoff situations before, divisional round and championship games. Same with the Rams, and they have the offensive and defensive talent to do so. For me, the Seahawks should be a little favored over them. So I would have them at like plus 380 and then like plus like 450. So not much difference, but like within that. And the reason being is I personally would be pretty shocked if they lost this game. The 49ers, at some point, injuries have to matter enough. And we just saw this game, and I know that it was closer at the end and they had a chance, but I still left that game thinking that the Seahawks were the better team, and now they're the more rested team, and the 49ers got worse. They lost Kittle, so they had to have gotten worse. So I think that I would be shocked if they lost this game, and I would be kudos to the 49ers. And so that basically means they're one game away from being in the Super Bowl with either a Rams team that they've beat or a Bears team having to go on the road in Caleb's first ever road playoff games in Seattle. Okay. So I just think the paths for them to get there is easier, and then now you're in the big game. And I understand it's Sam Darnold, but even if to me the Seahawks, if Sam Darnold plays decent, the Seahawks team can win every game. I really just think it comes down to, can you be AJ McCarron on Alabama? 200 yards, decent on third down.
I was gonna say,
don't turn the ball over.
Gotta make some third and longs.
Yeah, no, that's what AJ McCarron was. It was 200 yards. We can compete on third down. Don't turn the ball over. Then you're gonna be in every game and great. And the thing about the Texans is they should be that, but I don't have that confidence in them. I really don't have the confidence that they can be that good of an offense, because defensively, they are everything the Seahawks are. Offensively, they're not there. So, that was it. Timmy, what do you have?
So usually every year in the divisional round, there's one game that really just surprises us. Last year was the Detroit-Washington game. Nobody was really expecting Washington to come out swinging and take down one of the heavyweights. If you had to pick a team, the only three that I would imagine this happening to are Seattle, LA, and Buffalo. Those are the three that I would consider heavyweights that it would shock me if one of these teams fell apart. If you had to pick one to do that, who would it be?
The Rams. And the reason being is I think defensively they are susceptible right now, and then offensively Matt Stafford can turn the ball over. So Bears get a couple turnovers. They play well early, and we also know they play well late. I could see if it made getting away a 30-20 convincing win for the Bears. I don't predict it. I don't expect it. But if you had to give me one, I'd choose would be that one. And I guess second would be the Bills, and it'd be the fact that Josh just can't do it. I just can't do it.
Yeah, I'd say those are the two most even games. I think the way for the Broncos to win maybe would just be just how well-rounded they are. And I guess kind of like Keenan said, maybe they're up. Josh Allen's got a last drive, and the Broncos defense is that much tougher than the Jags. I could see that happening. And then same thing with Bears Rams. I'm ready for anything to happen in that game. It's going to be cold weather. Stafford is going to be ready. Like, you're not really going to phase Matt Stafford, obviously, but he's still an older quarterback. And if they can get to him, man, like, anything's possible in that game. And then
he
again,
can't
you factor
move, which is what's difficult.
Yeah. And you factor cold weather into that, which it's going to be cold. Yeah, I'm ready for damn near anything to happen in that game.
I think for me, it would be San Francisco just putting it to the Seahawks. Coming off the bye, they're a heavy favorite. It wouldn't surprise me if they're just a little bit rusty. And with Sam Darnold at the helm, like 2 picks and a fumble isn't like out of the cards here. So if that were to happen and they just convert on all those, get some points here and there and win by double digits, that wouldn't surprise me. I heard this question earlier and somebody had brought up the Rams and they said, yeah, West Coast Matt Stafford going to a cold weather city like Chicago. And I was like, he played in Detroit for the first decade of his career. He's used to cold weather games. I'm not worried about cold weather for Matthew Stafford here. Maybe those other guys, maybe Puka, definitely not Devontae. They've
played in Green Bay.
Exactly. They've literally played in the division. So I'm not.
Yeah, I was gonna say Stafford very accustomed to not just playing in cold weather, playing in that specific stadium, knowing he did it once a year for a decade.
Yeah, exactly.
Like and Devontae did it once a year for about a decade. Like, there are players like Stafford's gonna be okay. You're right, Kyle. Like, they could get to him, but and maybe that back gets tight, but he's not gonna be scared. He'll be okay.
Of course. I would like to see the stats. Okay. I would be interested to see when he played in Green Bay and in Chicago when he was playing for the Lions, the games that fell in December or maybe even week 17 or 18 in January, how he did in those games. Because even though he played in that division for forever, I actually don't have much recollection of his games going to Green Bay or going to Chicago because he played in such meaningless games. So I'd be interested to see in those specific months, in the cold weather months, how Stafford did against these teams, because he fared well last year in Philly. That game started off with normal weather. It was just kind of cold, and then it got pretty damn snowy in the second half out of the blue, and they still made their run.
So Stafford is 3-3 in freezing conditions, 1,519 yards, 15 touchdowns to 3 picks.
It's pretty good.
He overall, in degrees under 40, he is 7-11. And 7 of them he has a 100 quarterback rating. He's 5-2 in those games. So
his years in Detroit were pretty bad team wise. Yeah. It was just him and Megatron doing whatever they could for a long time.
Yeah, but
fun fact about divisional weekend: this is the 3rd time that all 4 games will take place in different time zones. You get the Mountain Time Zone, you get Central Time Zone, you get the Eastern Time Zone, you get the Western Time Zone. So, boom.
We're gonna have a classic this weekend. I don't know which one it's gonna be.
Might even have a couple.
Typically, always get we might have a couple, but we typically get a divisional round classic. So I'm expecting a classic game here. I don't know what it's gonna be, but we typically if round 4 a classic, it's typically this one.
Real quick before we sign off, I just want to get this out the way. We don't have to have a big discussion about it, and I know we said this in the group chat. The amount of times I saw this weekend, a 3rd and short, a 4th and short, where it's all right, let's just measure it. Let's get the virtual measurement. And there was no rhyme or reason to it. There was one I saw, I think it was the Trevor Lawrence play. Maybe not because his knee was down early, but there was one in that game that was extremely close. And I'm like, are they going to go to it? Nope, they didn't. And then there was another game that was very obviously short. Forget which game it was. I probably have it written down somewhere, but someone was on TV, you could see it was like a half yard short, and they brought out the virtual measurement. And I don't even remember what happened, but it just seemed like once again, just like the regular season, there was no rhyme or reason to what ones they did measure, what ones they didn't measure, where they spotted the ball. It's atrocious and it's embarrassing.
There was one play, I believe it was Trevor Lawrence trying to get the first down, and they spotted it. They needed to move the spot is what they needed to do. They need to go back and look at it and see where he actually went down because they spotted him generously. The ball should have been half a yard back. And one of the announcers said, "Is this something that New York will take a look at?" And they came back and they said, "No, because it's not a turn of possession or a score, so New York's not going to look at this." We saw all year long New York buzz in and be like, "Oh, actually, he was half a yard short of the first down." Texans versus Chiefs, they did that. They buzzed in and they said, "Oh, he actually stepped out of bounds half a yard short. This should be third and half a yard." So I would like some consistency on that because if they see it, because the whole booth was saying they need to take a look at this, the Bills need to challenge this and challenge where the spot was because they spotted the ball wrong. That needs to be consistent. Is New York going to do it or are they not going to do it? Because if they're not going to do it in big moments like that, then what the hell are they even there for, man? Shouldn't be able to do it in small moments.
Yeah. I just need consistency. That's really it.
That's all we
Just
ask
give
for.
me the same thing. You can even be consistently mediocre, and I'd rather that than being good and then bad. Just like at least I expect like, yeah, well, this is gonna be this is gonna be at least I know what we're expecting, and I'm sure the players would love to know what we're expecting because it's like, why are we giving a virtual measurement for this one and not for this one? Why are we bringing the sticks out for this one and not for this one? Why are we going to New York for this one and not for this one? Like if it's just I wish everything within a yard, make it a virtual measurement. Pretty simple. Like, and it's just like, even if it's a clear one, just to get it like a quick virtual, this is 4th and 1, or is it 4th and a half a yard, or just like whatever it is, just like a quick virtual measurement, because that's kind of the point. But that's all I have.
This was the Warner Brothers podcast. This was Shot Sipper Piss. Again, world renowned, world famous. We will be back with our picks before the games come out. This was Kyle. This was Keenan. This was Timmy G. YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, Apple Music. Stream, listen to us, tune in. We'll be back.